You are not in the universe. You are the universe. Happening by Rue. Let us begin without attacking anything, without defending anything, without trying to replace one belief with another. Let us simply examine the frame through which we have been taught to see. The difficulty in naming the subject of this conversation is that it is more fundamental than subject matter. It is the lens itself. We are not questioning an idea inside the room. We are questioning the architecture of the room. Most people assume their basic sense of reality is natural, obvious, and self-evident. It is not. It is inherited. It is linguistic. It is mythic. And myth does not mean false. Myth means the underlying image through which experience is interpreted. Electricity is not water, yet we speak of current. Space is not a balloon, yet we speak of expansion. These are metaphors that organize perception. In the same way, the West has been living inside two dominant metaphors for nearly 2,000 years, and neither is sufficient for the level of awareness we now possess. The first is what we may call the ceramic model, the idea that the universe is an artifact, shaped like clay by an external craftsman. In this model, reality is raw material, passive, unintelligent substance awaiting form. Intelligence is outside. Energy is imposed. The world is constructed the way a carpenter builds a table. This produces a psychological consequence. If the world was made, then you were made. If you were made, then you are an object. If you are an object, you belong to a maker. And if you belong to a maker, you are fundamentally separate from the source that formed you. Notice the implication. Separation is built into the grammar. Who made me becomes the default question. But there are cultures in which the question is not who made me, but how did I grow? That shift alone dismantles the architecture of separation. Making works from the outside inward. Growing works from the inside outward. One implies control. The other implies unfolding. When modern science began examining matter, it expected to find substance, some final stuff out of which everything was built. Instead, it found patterns. Every time the lens sharpened, form appeared. Every time magnification increased, the apparent stuff dissolved into relational movement. There is no ultimate clay. There is no final brick. There are behaviors, interactions, patterns of energy. The idea of inert substance collapses under scrutiny, which means the old model of an external intelligence shaping dead material becomes unnecessary. So what replaced it? The second myth, the fully automatic universe. The craftsman was removed, but the machine remained. Instead of a divine potter, we inherited blind mechanism. Instead of imposed will, we were told we are accidental configurations of energy, temporary arrangements of particles in a cosmic billiard game. Consciousness became a fluke. Love became chemical misfire. Meaning became projection. And this image, presented as tough-minded realism, is no less mythic than the first. It flatters the intellect by pretending to be severe. It feels hard, masculine, unromantic, but it is still an image. It is still a story. It is still a frame. And here is the consequence of that frame. If you believe you are merely a byproduct of blind force, you will feel alienated from existence. You will feel like a stranger in a hostile machine. You will speak of conquering nature, fighting disease, winning against the universe. You will imagine yourself inside a bag of skin, confronting an external world that may destroy you. You will feel small, isolated, temporary. You will define yourself as something that came into the world rather than something that emerged from it.
But observe carefully. Apples do not come into apple trees. They grow out of them. Waves do not come into oceans. They arise as movements of them. If there was an initial cosmic expansion, a primordial eruption of energy, then you are not something produced by it. You are that event continuing. You are the universe doing what it does in the shape called you. The error is grammatical. We speak in nouns. Thing, object, self. But nouns are linguistic conveniences, not ontological truths. Reality is not composed of separate things. It is process. It is verb. The world does not come pre-segmented. We cut it for the sake of measurement. We place a conceptual net over the wiggle of life and call sections objects. Useful for engineering, misleading for identity. When you describe a human being scientifically, you cannot stop at the skin. You must include the air they breathe, the ground they stand on, the language they inherit, the relationships that define them. The boundary is porous.
The organism and the environment form one system of behavior. To describe one requires describing the other, which means the idea that you exist only inside your skin is not scientific. It is cultural hypnosis. This is the sharpening point. Both dominant myths, the made world and the mechanical world, produce alienation. One makes you subject to a cosmic monarch. The other makes you a cosmic accident. Neither recognizes that intelligence and love, if present anywhere, are expressions of the total process. If consciousness exists here, it is not alien to reality. It is symptomatic of it. Just as the whirlpool is not separate from the river, you are not separate from the total field of existence. The whirlpool has shape, yes. It has continuity. You can recognize it from day to day. But no water remains fixed within it. It is a pattern of flow. So are you. If we continue to believe we are isolated fragments in a hostile cosmos, our behavior will reflect that belief. We will conquer instead of cooperate, dominate instead of harmonize, extract instead of participate. But if we understand ourselves as the universe experiencing itself through local perspective, the hostility dissolves. The fear of annihilation softens, because the wave does not die when it settles. The ocean remains. The most dangerous myth is not the one with gods and thrones. It is the one that tells you that you are insignificant, because that myth justifies despair, and despair justifies destruction. But if you see clearly, not romantically, not mystically, but structurally, you recognize that you are not an intrusion into reality, you are an expression of it. Not a puppet at the end of a chain of events, but the event itself in present form. And once that recognition stabilizes, the war between self and world collapses. There is no need to conquer what you are. There is no need to submit to what you are. There is only participation in the dance. The universe is not a thing. It is a happening. And you are not in it. You are it, happening where you are. Ashe.